I just got a bunch more people on, I think, on this registration, so I'm going to send it to them real quick and then I'll. Okay, let me figure out how I allowed you to share your screen earlier. This is weird.
Computer audio.
I always get nervous letting someone in that doesn't have a name.
Do we not have a name? We have a name.
There was an iPhone. There was an iPhone.
Why don't we have
This
a
one that just said iPhone.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey. Weird. Earlier, Dallas, it had an option where it said enable multiple participants to share the screen. Okay, as soon as I get this screen share thing, but it's not, it doesn't have the same menu anymore. I see mine. I can make you the host.
I mean, I can always email you my PowerPoint real quick too.
No, es que no es de que te vean.
Huh. Well, that's just silly. I'm just going to make you the host.
Okay.
I think everyone's in that was coming. We had about like 12, and that's about who's here. The only thing is, you know, I don't know if it's going to make me, like you might have to watch the participants and let people in. That's the only thing if I make you the host.
Well, so when I share my screen, it like, all I can see is my PowerPoint. So do
Oh,
you want me to
that's
just
right.
email it to you real quick?
Yeah, just email it to me. I don't know where that menu option is.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, sent.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Laurie Zulke. I'm the College and Career Coordinator at Montgomery High School, and Dallas Middleton is from Lone Star College, so she is our guest this evening. She is the person who comes to our campus and helps our students with their applications and their registration and all that kind of stuff. So she's our go-to person from Lone Star College for Lake Creek and Montgomery High School. So I'm gonna turn it over to Dallas first. I'm gonna get her, let me get her PowerPoint pulled up. And she's gonna go over just kind of an overview of what dual credit is through Lone Star. And then I'll kind of talk about the specifics for Montgomery High School, kind of some of those logistics, what our timeline is for getting kids signed up for summer and fall. And then if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or save them till the end, whichever one you want to. We'll be happy to answer any specific questions that you guys have. Okay, so let me share Dallas's.
So I'll just apologize to start off. I am presenting from home, so you may see a cat or hear a dog. They're my furry coworkers. And as Miss Lori said, my name is Dallas. I work in the Outreach and School Partnership Department of Lone Star College Montgomery. So I handle not only the dual credit, but I also come and meet with seniors and help them with the admissions process. And then the other half of my job is event planning, which I don't get to do right now thanks to COVID. So we get to do virtual things instead. So to get started here, this is going to be a presentation about the Lone Star College Dual Credit Program. And this is just a quick little video for you guys, kind of gives an overview of what I'll talk about in this presentation.
Maybe.
I had to click it a lot of times to get it to play earlier. Oh, I wish I had known the audio didn't work earlier.
Sorry. Apparently when I go to the waiting room, it will exit out of the video. Hold on, I'll fast forward.
It's okay if you want to skip it. I cover all of this anyway.
Okay. Sorry, when I went to the waiting room, it cut me off.
It did that to me earlier too. Okay, so what is dual credit? Dual credit is part of Lone Star College System's exceptional admissions program. All that means is as an exceptional admit student, you are not a high school graduate yet, but you are allowed to take college classes with Lone Star. So this program is for students who demonstrate college readiness. When we say college readiness, all we mean is that they've taken some sort of placement test and have placed high enough to be in a college level class. The dual credit program allows students to earn high school credit as well as college credit. They're earning those credits as they go versus like AP, they have to take the exam at the end to get the college portion of that. So that's just kind of a small difference between AP and dual credit. The benefits of dual credit are that they earn college credit and there's a shortened time needed to obtain their degree. A lot of our students, because they can take so many of the core classes for dual credit while they're still in high school, will graduate and only have a couple semesters left to finish out their degree at Lone Star. The biggest advantage is going to be the low cost. As people who live in the Montgomery area, Montgomery ISD is not included in our in-district tuition for Lone Star College, even though, you know, we're right here. It has to do with the taxing in the Montgomery area. They have not opted to be part of Lone Star College's district. So you actually get charged a higher tuition level being in the Montgomery ISD area than somebody who's in Conroe ISD. So because of that, when you do dual credit and we waive the tuition, you're only paying the fees, and so you're getting a much lower cost for those classes than you would taking them after you graduate. Another great part about dual credit is that they can gain their college experience with these advanced classes while they're still in a supportive high school environment. They've still got those high school instructors that are teaching these classes that are a little kinder to high school students, a little more willing to work with the extracurricular activities than a college professor would be. These dual credit classes enhance the high school GPA. The grades are weighted for dual credit classes. And then most of the classes that we offer through your high school are fully transferable to public colleges or universities within Texas. When you get into the private colleges or the out-of-state colleges, that's when it gets a little sticky, and we always suggest that you talk to that college to make sure that the classes you're taking will transfer to them. Because we offer mostly core classes at the high schools, that's usually not an issue because most degrees are going to require those same core classes. What you need to know about dual credit, a couple important things. The grades in your dual credit and your college credit only classes become a permanent part of your college record. So these are not, you know, just high school grades that aren't really going to matter once you take college classes. You're getting a college grade with these classes at the same time. So it's important to keep that in mind, that you want to not only maintain your high school GPA, but you also want to maintain your college GPA. And then to add to that, students who receive a below C grade, so a D or an F in a dual credit class, can't continue in the dual credit program. We do that really as a protection for the students because we don't want them to bring down their college GPA before they really even get started. And, you know, if they're struggling in the advanced level college classes, we would rather them just go to a level class than continue and set them up for failure. We do have an appeals process, especially in this time of COVID with the distance learning. We totally understand that not everybody learns very well virtually. And sometimes there's technology issues and things like that. So there are extenuating circumstances that you can file an appeal if you happen to fall into this category. So what does a dual credit class cost? So like I said before, tuition is completely waived for dual credit classes. That doesn't include the fees and the textbooks for the class, but for an example here, a 3 credit hour course. So the first portion of your English 3 or your English 4 credit, that's going to be a $73 class instead of the full amount with the tuition included. Let's say your student's taking 2 classes, the total is actually going to be $156. I need to update that on here. But that's just a visual so you can see the savings that you're going to receive by doing a dual credit class versus waiting until after you graduate. If you do an online class or an on-campus class at Lone Star, there is a bit of an extra fee for those 2 options. But other than that, the tuition is fully waived. And if we go to this next screen, there's a chart that breaks it down as well. So on this chart, if you look at the 3 credit hour slide here. It's $78. Sorry, that one was wrong on the last slide as well. $78 for that one class versus $270 at full tuition. And that $270 is actually the in-district tuition, so it would be even higher for you in the Montgomery ISD area. So it's definitely a huge benefit of that. How you get started with taking dual credit, you talk to Ms. Zilke. You go to your high school counselor. We will always, always, always turn parents and students back to the high school if there's any questions or issues with dual credit. Those are our partners. We honor their processes, their policies, and their deadlines first before our own. Your student will complete an application through Apply Texas. It's a free application. It's automatic acceptance. Takes about 15-20 minutes to fill out the application. And once they're done with that, they'll get an email within 24 to 48 hours that has their Lone Star student ID in it. The next thing they'll need to do is demonstrate that college readiness that I talked about earlier. If they have not already taken a PSAT, an SAT, or an ACT, then we accept the TSI exam as well, and we actually offer that through Lone Star. When it comes to these placement scores, let's say your student has done SAT or PSAT, they do really well in the English portion and not so good in the math, they can just take the math portion of the TSI and we can match those scores. That's the nice part about those three tests. They can really work together. The ACT, though, is a standalone test. I can't mix and match those scores at all. So it's all or nothing for that test. They have to be college ready in each category. And then lastly, they'll just register through the high school counselor. You should have received an email prior to this meeting with a couple attachments on it. And one of the attachments is the dual credit packet. You'll see all of the forms that are required. There's my furry coworker. You'll see all the forms that are required, and they're going to seem a little redundant, but we need all of them before we can process your student registration. When your student is taking the TSI exam, if that is an option that they need, they're going to need to complete a pre-assessment activity through their My Lone Star student portal. This is just a quick video that basically tells them what to expect from this test, what kind of questions there's going to be. There's a couple practice questions at the end. It's a real simple activity for them to do, and they have to complete that before they can move on and take the TSI. There's no charge for the initial test, so if it's your student's first time ever taking the TSI, we fully waive that testing fee. And then the test can be administered through your high school, or you can come to the Lone Star campus. We have offered already a couple testing dates at your high school, and we have one more coming up at the end of this month. So definitely take advantage of that if you need it. This slide is just kind of a quick overview of the forms that are in that dual credit registration packet. The FERPA, your bacterial meningitis requirement, your parental consent versus your minor student on campus form, and then requesting transcripts for summer courses. I don't have a slide in these next couple about the parental consent and minor student on campus, so I'll just talk about that real quick. The parental consent form is going to be for all dual credit students who are under the age of 18, versus the minor student on campus is going to only be for students who are 15 and younger. So if you have a student that is 15 and younger, they need both of those forms, regardless of whether they're going to be on a Lone Star campus or not. So this slide talks about the FERPA form. This is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This act prevents the release of certain information about your students' records with Lone Star. Without this form on file with your name as the parent specifically listed, I can't speak to you about your student's progress, about their account, anything regarding your student and Lone Star. I cannot talk to you about it without this form, even if they're under the age of 18. Because they're taking dual credit classes, they're considered a college student, and so the college policy wins in this case. This form's not required, but it is highly recommended, especially for our dual credit students. Just in any event that there's an issue, we want to be able to communicate with the parents and get things worked out. This page is talking about the bacterial meningitis requirement. So this is just a vaccination that you can opt to get. And if you do get it, you'll just simply upload your shot record into your My Lone Star student portal. If you don't want to get the vaccine, or you're coming up on deadlines, you don't have time to get it, we do have a form, the conscientious objection form. It's just a little waiver that the student can fill out. If they're under 18, the parent does need to sign it as well. But either one of those routes will satisfy this requirement in the student's account. This portion right here only is necessary if your student will be on a Lone Star campus for any reason. So if they plan to only take dual credit classes at the high school, this requirement is not important until after they graduate and they're coming to Lone Star. Requesting transcripts. We kind of actually talked about this one earlier, me and Ms. Sulky, that they don't actually have to request an official transcript after they've completed a summer course. When they take a summer course, it's going to be online or it's going to be on a Lone Star campus. It won't have anything to do with the high school. So because of that, we need something that reflects the grade that they earned over the summer, so the high school can add that to their side of the grading. So you can, when it comes time, if you need an official transcript, this little diagram shows you how to request that. Otherwise, you should be able to pull an unofficial transcript or get just a screenshot of the grade within your My Lone Star account for those summer courses. This one pops up after you click it a couple times. So the Star Center is just a tutoring center that's available to all Lone Star students, and it's completely free. There's never a fee associated with our tutoring services. We offer in-person and virtual tutoring. And so because your dual credit student is considered a Lone Star student, they have access to all of these resources as well. All right, couple things to remember. Always consult with your high school counselor. They are going to be your main point of contact. Obviously, if there's ever anything crazy going on that you need to talk to me for, you can absolutely reach out to me at any time. But otherwise, we really encourage you to go through your high school. We always tell students to prepare to spend at least 2 hours outside of class for every hour that they spend in class. And that's just because this is going to be a college level advanced course. And so there might be a little more studying involved, a little more homework involved than your typical high school class. It's important to learn your Lone Star ID number. You're going to use that for a lot of things. So once you receive that in your email, save it in your notes or something in your phone, because you're going to need to refer to that a lot, as well as your Lone Star username and password for your student portal. We encourage students to regularly check their My Lone Star email. If they don't want to maintain multiple email accounts, they can forward their Lone Star emails to their personal email address. Lastly, and most importantly on this slide, is that all adds and drops must be completed through the high school counselor. As a dual credit student, it might look like you have the option to register yourself or to drop yourself from classes within your student portal, but once you get to the last step of submission, it's going to give you an error and tell you that it didn't go through. That's because you have a hold on your account that does not allow you to do those types of changes on your own. So you have to go through the high school so that they're aware of these changes and they can adjust your high school schedule as well if needed. This right here is my contact information for the dual credit department, not apartment. And this URL here is for our campus specific dual credit website. We encourage that you go visit that. It's got all of the steps laid out for the admissions process. And then if you have any questions ever, you can email that MC-dual credit email address and we will help you out.
Okay, thank you, Dallas. Are there any specific questions for her as far as Lone Star goes? I didn't see any in the chat, so I'm just going to open it up. I've got a lot more MHS stuff coming your way, but.
I know there's been some questions about the new TSI test. Just to hit on that real quick, it is the same exact test. It hasn't gotten any harder or anything like that. Same exact test. All they've done is combined the English portion into one section instead of having it broken up. If your student takes that test and they pass the writing, the multiple choice writing portion, then they'll be given the essay. If they don't pass the writing portion, they won't be given the essay portion. Those are really the only differences. And the scores are on a different scale just so we can differentiate between the old TSI scores and the new ones.
Dallas, somebody wants to know the limit of classes. How many are they allowed to take at one time?
They can take up to 18 credit hours without needing special approval. If your student is really just trying to push through those classes and graduate with their degree, there is a form that we can fill out to get that approval if they need more than 18 credit hours.
And then what's the best criteria to decide which ones to take? It really depends. I'm going to show you somewhere a resource where you can go to kind of look up maybe what, you know, like what a Lone Star class, like if you go and find your degree plan where you're going, what you can look at that will count and what won't count. But most of our dual credit classes that we offer, I'm going to go through our offerings, and they're very basic core classes that you're going to need for most degrees. So I'll kind of cover that in a minute, what we offer and then what would be good to start with.
I see that question too about how to register for summer courses. So summer registration is going to take place at the same exact time as fall registration. And Ms. Dolke will talk about that in her presentation as well.
Okay, let me find mine. Okay. Share, start over. Okay, that's not right. Okay. So Dallas covered some of this. I know on our campus, we both offer AP courses and dual credit classes. Both of them do award college credit, just in a different way. So your student through an AP class, you know, takes the class the whole semester from a high school teacher that's trained to teach this AP class. And then they take an AP exam at the end of the year that's $95, I think $94. And based on their performance on the test, that performance on the test determines how much credit they're awarded. And the university they're going to is going to decide what credit they're going to give them. So, so a 3 on the AP test gets them usually credit for like English 1301. You know, a 5 might give them both semesters. So it really is kind of dependent on where you're going and what they award credit for those courses. They're taken at the high school. They are accepted, you know, across the U.S. And they are, both of these classes, the dual credit and the AP classes, are weighted the same as far as the MHS weighted GPA. But I will talk about a difference in just a minute with the online dual credit classes. Dallas spoke to the price, so I won't go over that again. There are some courses that have a textbook cost. That's variable. I know some of the math classes, and I believe government has a textbook, but some of them don't. That's just a variable price that is, you know, the student responsibility if there is one. With dual credit, the credit that you earn is actual credit through Lone Star, and then that can be used towards a degree at Lone Star or can be transferred to other schools. And like Dallas said, most state, you know, Texas schools will credit just hour for hour, class for class. But I've even had kids this year going out of state that have taken their dual credit. They might not have needed the class like specifically for their degree plan, but they have transferred those hours in. So this is just kind of a rundown of, you know, kind of that comparison between AP and dual credit courses. These are the contacts. I'm sending this to you, so that was just why I included this, so that you would have everyone's, you know, contact information to reach out with any questions that you have. But of course, Julie and I are the first lines of, you know, communication, because we are the ones who will register, drop, you know, do all of that for your students as far as dual credit goes. And Dallas talked about what a great savings it is. Obviously, Lone Star itself is a great value, and we have them right here in our backyard. But of course, the dual credit offering is even less, because they get to take these, you know, while in high school. So there's a special price with that tuition waived, which even gives them these courses for a better price. And these are the courses that we generally offer our students, not to say we're not looking to possibly expand some of these offerings, you know, as we grow and offer more pathways on our campus. But right now we offer English, basically an equivalent to English 3 and English 4. With a college course, you pay for each individual semester. So for instance, you would take the first semester of English, you know, in the fall, and then the second semester of English in the spring, or in summer session 1 and summer session 2. So you would pay for that 3 hours in the fall, and then another 3 hours in the springtime. We do offer several math courses. They are semester-long courses. So most kids like to take like college algebra in the fall, and then maybe do statistics or math for business in the spring, or vice versa. So we do offer those on campus. Our English classes are taught on campus by a Montgomery teacher who serves as a professor, and then also math is taught that way as well. We do have U.S. history on our campus, and that is a very common course taken by juniors. So they take U.S. history as dual credit, and a Lone Star person teaches that on our campus, you know, in a classroom. Government and economics are also very popular for seniors. They usually take this dual credit, and those are completely online courses. So we actually build a class period in their schedule so that they get to work on their class. They do not have to be on campus to work on it, but if they are on campus, they can do that in a study hall class or in the ASC when they have that on their schedule. Spanish 3 and Spanish 4 equivalents are taught on our campus by MHS faculty that serves as a professor. So we do have those equivalents on our campus. Criminal justice also is taught the same way by Ms. Krazan. She has a dual credit criminal justice course, but psychology and sociology are online courses only. Then welding, the EMT, auto tech, and machining, which are some of those workforce programs, are actually on a Lone Star campus. So those are the ones that would definitely require a meningitis vaccination if you're going to campus. And then also the minor on campus form definitely has to be completed if you're taking one of those courses where you're going to go to either Montgomery or Conroe to take that class. Okay, so this is what I want to be really crystal clear. So the grading system for Lone Star College, their GPA weighted system is different than the MHS one. So say I am a student and I'm wanting to take dual credit English. If I take that English course at MHS, so if I take it fall and spring of next year, say English 1301 and 1302, and I'm sitting in, my butt is in a seat on the MHS campus, then I am going to follow the MHS GPA rules. So if I score a 98 in that course, that is what is going in my GPA at MHS, is a 98. However, if you take the same course over the summer, but so it's going to be online. An A for Lone Star transfers in as a 95 to your MHS GPA. I'm telling you that because a lot of dual credit classes, you know, the kids take it because they are weighted, and that's awesome. But when they get that first grade, especially it's the kids who make a B or they make an 88 and then they see an 85 on their report card. They are not very happy with that. But that is how a B translates from an online or a Lone Star course into our GPA system. That will not change. However, those dual credit classes that they sit in on our campus, those are a point-by-point entrance. So, you know, you can get 100 in English 1301 on campus. You cannot get 100 in English 1301 over the summer. So I just like to make that very, very clear because, you know, a lot of our kids who are watching that weighted GPA obviously are trying to increase their rank or increase, you know, their place in the class. And I don't want that to be a surprise when, you know, they take that. And government and economics is the same way. Seniors, a lot of seniors still take this class, but obviously a lot of seniors are already in college or admitted at the time they're getting these grades for their dual credit classes their senior year. This is what I was also going to refer to. This website is what I send people to say, like, if I'm looking at an A&M degree plan and it says, you know, English 150, what does that mean? Is that English 1301 with Lone Star? This numbering system, you can compare the colleges and it'll actually let you see what the comparative courses are. But, you know, you asked about, like, what are the best ones to start with? Most degrees in college are going to have you take English 1301, 1302. Maybe not necessarily that second English that is our English 4 equivalent. Sometimes that's more for like journalism, English majors, but that 1301 and 1302 is definitely, you know, one of those core requirements for colleges, as is U.S. History 1301 and 1302. So those are really, those in government and economics are definitely some of our most popular courses. But I would say, like, it's a great opportunity to take those Spanish classes if you have a kid who, you know, started Spanish in junior high and they're already done with their Spanish their freshman year. You know, they can take those weighted Spanish classes and get, you know, increase their GPA and keep going with Spanish, which is not a bad thing to do. All of your kids, if I've seen them or they've signed up for the TSI when they did their registration, I put them in a Google Classroom called Lone Star College Dual Credit at MHS. This is what I use to a lot of times send them forms and things like that, especially my remote kids right now who are getting registered. I will push their registration forms out through an assignment in Google Classroom. You don't necessarily have to write this down because I've already put them in there. They just need to go into their Google Classroom and click join. If they don't see it, they can email me. I'll send them the code. You know, I'll make sure that they get in there before we finish registration and everything. These are my Remind accounts for the different grade levels in dual credit. Remind, you know, is great, but they, you know, they're cutting us down to 150 per account. So what I ask is that if your kid is going to be a 10th grade dual credit student, that you and the child join, because this is all new. They're still young. You know, you might both want to get the reminders. If they're in 11th grade, I would ask that a parent or the student get the reminds. So, you know, you can kind of choose who's going to be the remind guru for the 11th graders. And then if you're in 12th grade, I ask for the students to do it. By then, most of the times they've taken dual credit classes, so they kind of know, like, you know, the lay of the land, and so they should be pretty responsible for their work and their deadlines. So the MHS part of what you need to know is that the students and the counselors have already worked together to pick classes for next year. Do not feel like this is a set in stone schedule. You can see their schedule. If they log into their student portal, you can see what all they picked. And then from what our counselors tell us is the 1st of March, they will be sending these schedules home with you to verify this is what you want to take, along with a form to complete any changes that you decide, you know, or you thought, oh my gosh, what was my student thinking? There will be a corrective process. So we will get those fixed if you need to do that. Just like Dallas said, grades and dual credit courses become part of your permanent college record. So we want to see you succeed in there. So you have to make a C or better to stay in the dual credit program. MHS dates are always earlier than Lone Star dates. So you may see some dates on the Lone Star calendar, but a lot of times because y'all are just getting started on these college deadlines, I have your dates earlier so we don't miss anything and we get everything turned in plenty of time. We do not provide transportation if you do take those classes at Lone Star that are workforce classes. Right now, those are offered in the evening. So what we do instead is you have to get yourself to and from the class, but we give you a late arrival so that because you're going to school late, so it's the way we kind of take care of you as far as, you know, going to school after hours. One of the most important things that I use for Remind and the Google Classroom for is to remind you to pay your Lone Star bill. You will be paying for your dual credit course through Lone Star College, and if you don't pay by the date that they ask you to pay, then you will be dropped from the course, and it creates more work for Dallas and I to do to get you back in it. We can get you back in there, but it's a lot easier if you just pay on time and we don't have to worry about being dropped. And then if you receive accommodations on our campus, it is the student's responsibility to get those accommodations over to Disability Services at Lone Star College. I did attach the flyer to the email I sent all of you that tells you exactly how to do that. It gives you Vicky's contact information, and that way you can get those over there. Your student, you know, should use those modifications in their dual credit class, but it is Montgomery High School doesn't take care of that for your student. It is the student responsibility. Dallas talked about drops and withdrawals. This is always like, I call it the drop party in my room on the deadline, because all these kids come in frantically dropping classes, and I don't want it to be like that. If a student starts to struggle, they need to reach out to us, and we need to figure out how to make them successful, or we just need to get them dropped really early so that they don't have to make up a lot of work elsewhere. One of the things that is complicated with dropping a course is that if there's no, say like if they're in an English class, okay, if they're in a dual credit English class, and it's the junior English, so they're gonna drop their dual credit class, well, we can move them into an English 3 class. But the pacing and the place they are is really different. So that new class may require that student to make up a little work coming into that class. So the earlier we get them transferred over to a regular class, the easier it's going to be of a transition on the student. Some of these classes don't have MHS equivalents. So for instance, the like criminal justice class, if they drop that class, there's really not an equivalent course we can put them into. So we do have the senior year, like if they drop government, a lot of times we'll put them in Edgenuity just to get the credit for the course. It's the same, it'll give them the same credit as a regular government class. But you know, if an MHS class becomes full, sometimes we have to use those options and get creative. So just know that with drops or withdrawing from the course by the certain date will get you a W instead of a bad grade, which is a benefit, but you will lose some of your money that you've paid for the course. And so we just want to make sure those students are being successful and dropping early if they're going to drop, and then coming in and talking to us, because we do process all the drops and withdrawals. Dallas covered what the TSI test is. We do give it on campus. I've given a couple of dates already, but to a small group, especially, we were trying to get our seniors through first that are going to Lone Star next year. But our next big test date is February 26th. So if we have not given your child the TSI, that is when they'll be doing that. They do have to complete their Lone Star application 1st, so I'll talk about when that'll happen as well. They will not receive a testing ticket until the day before because students just lose those. So I'm not going to give them their lab assignment until the 25th. They'll get a ticket that tells them where to report to on the 26th for their TSI. They can take retakes, and we will have some kids taking retakes on that day if we have room. So, and then Dallas talked about the cost for that. If they don't want to take it at Montgomery, or if they want to just go ahead and get it done quicker, they can certainly take it at the Lone Star College Testing Center. Or if on the 26th, say they don't score well on math and they need to retake just that portion, then they can make an appointment and do it over at Lone Star. Also, I put their website on here because they have great test prep resources on the Lone Star Montgomery testing site. So when you get this PowerPoint, that link will take you to some test prep as well. Students, she did say, can demonstrate college readiness on other tests. So many kids coming into dual credit have taken a PSAT. So that's what I get the most to kind of get them out of taking a TSI test. So if you look on this chart, the PSAT, they need a 510 in the math to exempt the math portion of the TSI, and a 460 on the ELAR or the English portion of the PSAT in order to exempt that. And they can exempt with an ACT, but like she said, it's the complete test. They have to have a 23 composite and a 19 in each of the sections. If your student wants to use these test scores instead of taking the TSI, what you need to do is log in to the College Board account for PSAT or SAT, or your ACT account with ACT, and you have to download the score report. So what that looks like is you click on that test that has the qualifying score, and there's usually a little download arrow, and you say download score report. I need the entire score report. It's usually a PDF file, and you can simply just email that to myself or Julie, and we'll put it on file, and we will just take them off the testing roster for the 26th. And then the very last is just kind of our deadlines and what we're going through right now. And your student may have told you, like, they've talked to me. I have talked to some of them. I've done some of their applications in the College and Career Center. But right now, what they've done is they've signed up for their dual credit courses with their counselor. And then some of them did take the TSI with me on the 2nd and 4th. And that ended, I think the course registration actually ended yesterday. Then they will complete their Lone Star application. If they haven't done that yet, we'll be doing that on the 17th, and Dallas will be on campus, and we'll be bringing them into the ASC in order to complete their applications. Once they complete their application, 24 to 48 hours later, they get their Lone Star ID and their instructions on setting up their Lone Star account, and they will follow those instructions and complete the pre-assessment activity. Then they will get the ticket to take the TSI on the 26th. Unless I received qualified test scores before that, then I'll take them off that list. And then after that's done, I'll be going into their, if they're in 9th and 10th grade, I'll go to their history class. If they're in 11th grade, I'll be going to their English classes. And I'll be giving them the forms, physically handing them the forms that they need to get signed and bring back. And the registration form, all you're gonna fill out is the very top portion of like the demographics, the address and all that kind of stuff, and the parent signature where it asks for that. And then we will fill out the courses. When I talk to the students in their classes, they will be telling me, are they taking those courses for summer or for fall? So we will register them for their whatever they want to take in the summer and in the fall at the very same time. The deadlines and everything are the same for both. It'll just be the difference of, you know, what course we sign them up for. If they're taking English in the summer, we'll sign them up for an online English course. But if they're taking it in the fall, we'll put them in that English class on our campus. If you have a remote learner, I will be doing the same thing through Google Classroom. I mean, even if you're not remote, I will put that assignment in there with all the forms. So if you don't see them come home with your kid, you will get them that way. You also, like I said, got them in the in the email that I sent with this link so that you have them. There are 2 registration forms because we have you fill out both of them. That'll be one for the fall and summer, and then that'll be one that we'll use for the spring when we do spring registration, but that won't be until, you know, later in the fall. Okay. Awesome. And Dallas said payment for any summer courses is due by May 28th. Payment for the fall classes is always right in August, right when we get back. So those courses are paid for in the fall when we start school back. Dallas did also talk a little bit about the summer courses. So if your child is planning on taking, say, like English in the summer, okay, we will not make a schedule change to take them out of English for the fall. So like, you know, it's not that we don't trust your kids. It's just that like English and history are requirements for graduation. So we're not going to change their class and assume that they're going to be successful and do this over the summer. What'll happen is they'll take their English class or their history class, and then they will bring those grades to us, and we will get them to the registrar. And then at that time, once we've awarded your child that credit for their summer courses, we will change their schedule for the fall to reflect the class that they don't need. Okay. Deadline to sign up for TSI. Most kids have already signed up for the TSI on the 26th. When they registered for that dual credit class in the computer lab, we had a QR code that they scanned and they signed up for it. But if you're uncertain, just send me an email with their name and I'll double check, make sure they're on the list for TSI on the 26th. I'll also remind them of that when they come do their applications on the 17th to make sure that they're all signed up for the test if they haven't taken it. Okay, I will resend the dual credit packet to everyone who participated. So just make sure I have your email so you can maybe send me an email, but I think you were on the registration because I got you on here. Okay, and Misty, your student will be registering for courses, the remote learners. They just got those resources posted on the Counselor's Corner today, I think. So now that they have the in-person kids registered, they are going to start registering remote learners, and they will be talking to them as well about dual credit. So so that's how kind of we've gotten to this point. So they will be having those conversations with remote learners starting now. And I saw a question about how do I change from an AP to a dual credit class. If your student signed up for AP but now they want dual credit, then when those confirmations come to your student with the printout of your schedule, that's when you'll be able to correct things and send it back. And then you can change from an AP offering to a dual credit offering if that's what you wanted. I think that's everything on the chat. Are there any other questions that anyone wants answered that they're confused about or anything like that? I see Carson. Okay, well, if you think of anything, what I'm gonna do after this, and I'm not promising I'm gonna do it tonight because today's been a lot of Zooming, but I will send you all your email that you registered with. I will send you both Dallas's PowerPoint and I'll send you my PowerPoint. That way you have all of that contact information. I'll reattach those dual credit packets and the accommodation flyers so that we make sure that you get all of that information as well. And I'll send all of this, you know, back out just to cover my bases and make sure everyone who we talked to this morning and this afternoon has everything they need. But I just want to thank you, number one, for, you know, sending your kids to school and, you know, trusting dual credit. I know it's a whole new job for me, so I apologize if it takes me a day to get back to you. Sometimes I have to get the answers from others. But I'm learning. This is my first full dual credit registration by myself, so there's a lot of steps to it. So I really thank you for your patience. All of you, all the parents have been so kind and gracious, and I get my answers back to you as fast as I can. I find the experts if I don't know what I'm doing. So.
Did you see Aaron's question in the chat?
No, I didn't see that one.
So don't worry about changing anything until confirmation comes home?
Correct. They're going to do the remote learner schedules now. And, you know, we know kids don't know everything when they go in those computer labs. We give them a chance to change. And I also always want to tell kids, because they go home, you know, with a lot of anticipation over the summer, and they even decide in the summer, oh my gosh, I didn't want to take that. There's still a lot of time when we get back to campus in those first few weeks to change schedules also. So don't think this is like, you know, locked down. There's always still flexibility. We always allow those changes to occur. Just remember, with dual credit, we're dealing with two entities. We have to change your Lone Star stuff and get that right. And then we have to also handle it from the counselor standpoint and make sure if you're getting out of dual credit, we still get your credits that you need from MHS and get you into those classes you need. So it's kind of a two-step process when it's dual credit. But, you know, we work together and we try not to let anything slip through, but we do occasionally, so. Okay, well, bundle up, stay on the weather alerts, and you know, if you think of anything else, just send me an email. I'm happy to get back to you that way, or call the Career and Counselor Center. Send your kids by. I love meeting them. Oh my gosh, Carson and I had a great conversation the other day. Got to plan her future, and it's so exciting. And so please send them to see me. I enjoy them so much. All right, good night.